Actually, I'm not going to ask you to take your seats. I'm going to ask you to all rise for the presentation of the colors by the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey Color Guard and the pipe band for our flag salute, and then remain standing for the national anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I want to thank the Port Authority Color Guard, and we've already given him a round of applause. Was that terrific? Give him another round of applause. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Louis Coletti, and I'm the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Building Trades Employers Association. On behalf of the BTEA Board of Governors, I'd like to welcome you to the Building Trades Employers Association 2018 Leadership Dinner. I'd first like to acknowledge some public officials we have here with us. Senator Jeff Klein was here earlier in our cocktail reception, but we have with us today the New York State Labor Commissioner, Roberta Reardon, and our New York City Buildings Department Deputy Commissioner, Tim Hogan. This is the BTA's 115th annual event, a time to honor those individuals that contribute leadership, vision, and commitment to the construction, labor, and real estate industry in New York City. I want to thank everyone here this evening for your incredible support of this event tonight. Before we get into our awardees, there are a number of people I'd like to thank. First of all, our dinner co-chairman, Jay Badami of AECom Tishman, Charlie Murphy of Turner, Robert Perricone of Component Assembly, and Stephen Giannotti of Arcadia Electric. Our executive chairman sponsors, AECom Tishman, the Association of Wall, Ceiling, and Carpentry, Greater New York Floor Coverers Association, Insulation Contractors Association, Skanska, and Turner. Our vice chairman sponsors, the Building Contractors Association, Caldwell Wingate, Lend-Lease, the Carpenter Contractor Alliance of Metropolitan New York, New York Electrical Contractors Association, New York City Sheet Metal and Air Conditioning Contractors Association, Ornamental Metal Institute of New York, Picard and Abramson, the Roofing Association of New York, the Steel Institute of New York, the United Association of Plumbers and Pipe Fitters. And our chairman sponsors, the Association of Master Painters and Decorators, Brookfield Properties, the Contractors Association of Greater New York, the Elevator Manufacturers Association of New York, and the Mason Tenders District Council Laborers Employers Cooperation and Education Trust, the Teamsters Local 282, Von Rohr Equipment Corporation, and Component Assembly. And finally, our award sponsors, Cassone, EJ Electric, Gray Bar, Milwaukee, and the Milwaukee Tool Company. All the best builders in this city and this state. Today, the BTEA remains the strongest and most effective unified voice for union contractors in New York City. Here are just a few examples of the success we have had as a result of the support of BTE events like tonight. We eliminated several provisions from the New York City Construction Worker Safety Training Law that were onerous and costly to BTEA contractors while maintaining the integrity of the bill that every worker should have safety training in this city. We defeated over 25 New York City Council bills that would have increased the cost of construction to BTEA contractors because the people in this room follow the rules, and the non-union contractors don't. We eliminated legislative language for minority and women-owned business programs that would have increased liquidated damage penalties to our members without increasing the capacity of MWBE contractors. And I'm proud to say that today, the BTEA is now working with the governor and his MWBE task force to find common solutions for the prime contractors and the MWBE community. This year, our member participation has been at its highest level ever. There are several committees that I'd like to mention who give much time and effort. Our Safety Committee, which meets monthly with representatives from the New York City Department of Buildings, the New York City Fire Department, and the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Our Next Generation Leadership Council, the young leaders who will be shaping this industry and this organization for years to come. Our Government Affairs Committee, our Construction Manager and General Contractor Roundtable, and our Subcontractor Roundtable. On your table, you will find a postcard. And if you're not a member of our committee and you want to be, and you should be, fill that card out tonight and drop it off at the registration table before you leave. In beginning our program tonight with the first and the inaugural BTEA Master Builder Award, I want to talk a couple of minutes about the basis of why our recipient was chosen. And it goes back to January 1st, 2011. That was the date of our honoree's first State of the State speech after just being elected governor of New York. Here is what our governor said 7 years ago, and this is a quote from his speech. "There is no more time to waste. It is a time for deeds, not words, results, not rhetoric. It is a time for a bold agenda and immediate action. There is no more waiting for tomorrow, and there are no more baby steps." Our honoree had a clear vision for what he wanted to achieve, and he has provided the leadership, the courage, the commitment, and perseverance necessary to carry out that vision throughout his 7 years as governor. The very foundation and centerpiece of his plan has always been to expand economic growth for all New Yorkers. The path he chose to accomplish that was to look at the skyline and infrastructure of New York. And when he did, he saw more than just steel, concrete, glass, and brick. He saw rising tax revenues, new business opportunities, good-paying jobs, and an improved quality of life for all New Yorkers. The perfect prescription for what would grow New York's middle class for decades to come. For BTEA associations, construction managers, general contractors, and specialty trade subcontractors, he has brought all of us along with him on this journey to prosperity and growth. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege and my honor to introduce my good friend, the best friend this industry has ever had, and the only elected official in the nation. I'm going to say that again. And the only elected official in the nation who knows how to create a plan that will benefit all New Yorkers and build the infrastructure and middle class of New York. Ladies and gentlemen, our first honoree for the Master Builder Award, the Governor of the great state of New York, Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you very much. Good evening to all of you. It's my pleasure to be here, and I want to thank you very much for that award, but the award really goes to you. You do all the hard work. I just talk about it. First to the Port Authority Color Guard that did such a beautiful job. Let's give them a round of applause. To Lou Coletti, I hope you appreciate his leadership. He's dealing with a lot of difficult issues right now, and he does it with sophistication and intelligence and a nuance that should make everyone in this room proud. He's a proud partner of the state. Let's give him a round of applause. We have the Labor Commissioner here tonight, and she has a very tough boss. So let's give Roberta Reardon a round of applause because and we have two great union officials who have been shown vision, shown creativity, shown great partnership and selflessness. We have Jimmy Cahill and Gary LaBarbera, and let's give them a round of applause and thank them for everything they do. And I personally want to thank Lindley, Skanska, and Turner for what they've done in stepping up to help the people in Puerto Rico, which is give them a round of applause. Puerto Rico, forget the politics, forget everything else. Those are American citizens. It is a horrendous situation that they are in. Over 4,000 now as a death toll. Just to put that in perspective, Hurricane Katrina was 1,800. And this is over 4,000, and they're not even sure of how many. We're launching an effort on the state side where we have SUNY and CUNY students, students at State University and City University who are going to go down for the summer, get college credit, work with experienced tradesmen, and help rebuild homes. So they're going to be making a difference. And Skanska, Turner, Lend-Lease, everyone has stepped up. The unions have stepped up. So thank you very much. Thank you for that. I'm excited about what we're doing together, but I'm more excited about what we're going to do together. You know, New York State is the greatest state on the globe, but it didn't just happen that way, right? New York State, New York City is what it is because you built it that way, right? This is a built environment. Everything you see is because it was built that way. I was Housing and Urban Development Secretary under Clinton for 8 years, and I would fly into a city, and as Lou was saying, as you're coming in the airplane, I would just count the cranes. You count the cranes, and that is a barometer of how that metropolitan region is doing. Because you are either building and developing and moving forward, or you're moving behind. There is no standstill. There is no status quo. It's not a static environment. If you're not moving forward, the city up the highway is, or the state to the south of you is, or the country on the other side of the globe is. And we forgot that lesson in New York for a long time. We were born out of a daring, an ambition, a vision. They call it New York arrogance. They call it New York swagger. It is. You have to be a little arrogant to do what we did. Everything we did, they said you couldn't do. Everything we built, they said was impossible. I mean, when you think back to what we built and when we built it, Long Island Railroad, second oldest railroad in the United States of America. You know why they built the Long Island Railroad? They had a plan to make a ferry available from Greenport on Long Island to Boston. They built the railroad to get to the ferry in Greenport so you could get to Boston to save time. And they built a 100-mile railroad. I mean, that was the guts that these people had. Brooklyn Bridge was a fool's errand when they started it. Williamsburg Bridge. Every bridge longer, better, more ambitious than the next. Subway construction, 600 miles underground. 600 miles. No hydraulics, no sophisticated equipment, just guts and men and women who believed they could do it, and they built one of the largest subway systems in the country. Penn Station, not only did we build, but we built magnificent structures, right? We built with an artist's eye. We built for legacy. We built for the duration. We wanted people to be proud of what we built and what we envisioned. Architectural vision after architectural vision, Holland Tunnel, they said it couldn't be done, you couldn't ventilate it. Empire State Building built in 1 year in the middle of the Depression, in 1 year. New York State Thruway, everything we did. But then something happened. Something happened to the psyche in this state, in this city, in this country, where we lost that ambition. And we rested on the work of our forefathers. And you fly around the world today, and you will see magnificent airports all around the world. You see these great architectural accomplishments where every country is trying to outdo the next with the biggest building, the most ambitious architectural project, and they are doing literally magnificent things all across the globe. And they're building and they're developing. High-speed rail in China is revolutionizing the transportation industry. And then you come back and you land at LaGuardia Airport. I mean, you don't have to say more than that. That is it. Now, LaGuardia Airport, it's not just LaGuardia, it's not just New York, this is nationwide. Do you know we haven't built a new airport in this country in 20 years? Denver was the last new airport that we built. So it is a national problem where we doubt ourselves to make the investment, we doubt our capacity for these long-term projects. We don't want to commit, we don't want to say, yes, we're going to do it. And yes, this is still the best country on the globe, and we're going to show you what we can do, because there's nothing that we can't do. I was very happy when President Trump proposed a $1.5 trillion infrastructure program. I know the president from New York, as you do. He's a builder, he's a developer, gutsy. I said, you know what? When it comes to the infrastructure, this is great, $1.5 trillion. He went down to Washington. Somehow the $1.5 trillion turned into $200 billion over a period of years. And now there is no national investment fund. $200 billion for the country over 10 years is nothing. We started in this state the largest investment program in the United States of America, $100 billion, half of what they are going to spend for the rest of the country. And we threw out the rule book when it came to how we build. We took government out of the job of building. You know, the most important thing in life to know is to know what you don't know. Government does not know how to build. Take it from me. I'm a governor. We went to design, build, construction. We have an idea. We turned it over to private sector firms to both design it and to build it. And we go with the high bid, and we go with real time frames. That means something. And we build 100% union labor, because that's the quality. Union labor is the best skilled workforce, the safest workforce. There's an apprentice program, long-term. It is the strength of this industry, and don't ever forget it. But with design build, we are actually getting it done. This is not about a plan. This is not about a theory. We're going to go for some approval process. We are getting it done and getting it done on time. And we are building more construction that has been done in modern political history. We're actually doing more projects than the state has ever done. The Kosciuszko Bridge, don't ever get into a question of how you pronounce the Kosciuszko Bridge, because I've pronounced it 15 different ways and have been criticized 15 times. The Kosciuszko Bridge, we have the first span up. The second one is going to be done. The new Goethals Bridge is finished. We have the largest capital investment in the MTA, $33 billion. We have an emergency plan to get the subways up and running. That's underway. We finished the 2nd Avenue subway, which took too long, but we got it done on time, and we met the deadline, and it is magnificent. We're going to rebuild the Long Island Railroad, which hasn't been rebuilt since they built it. When you hear the traffic report in the morning, and they say there's a delay on the Long Island Railroad because something happened on the track. They mean literally the track. In many places, there is one track for the Long Island Railroad. God forbid a squirrel has a heart attack on the track. Everybody's late for work that day. It has gone on. It has gone on for too long. The approval process was difficult. We're building a second track. We're building a third track, over 100 projects. We're redoing all of the stations so people who are on Long Island have a safe, clean, economic, and enjoyable commute. We're redoing the Moynihan Train Hall, which is across the street from Penn, which is going to be magnificent. That is under construction now. It's going to be finished by 2020, $2.5 billion project. 5 new stations for Metro North in the Bronx to open up the Bronx to more development. New Schenectady train station, Niagara Falls train station, Rochester train station, new LaGuardia Airport, $8 billion, and it is going to be magnificent, and it is underway. It's going to be done by 2021, or some people in this room will never be back in the state of New York. That I can promise you. LaGuardia is going to have an air train because you should be able to take the train from the airport to the city. A new JFK International for $10 billion, new Rochester Airport, new Syracuse Airport, new Elmira Corning Airport, new Plattsburgh Airport, new Ithaca Airport, a new New York Stewart Airport, which is in the mid-Hudson, which can take a lot of traffic off the New York airports. We're doing over $27 billion in roads and bridges all across the state, a new Kew Gardens interchange, which is a traffic nightmare. We're redoing the Van Wyck Expressway. I'm 60 years old. I spent 4 months of my life in traffic on the Van Wyck. I added it up. I'm a Queens boy. I spent more time. We're redoing the Sheridan Expressway, which was a mistake when it was built in the first place, and that's going to be corrected. We're redoing the Hunts Point-Bruckner Expressway, which is a traffic nightmare. The Woodbury Transit Hub we're redoing. We're doubling the size of the Javits Convention Center, which is going to bring that is underway right now, and that is going to make the Javits competitive for any show against any convention center anywhere in this country. And it's going to bring all sorts of commerce back to New York. New Albany Convention Center, 100% broadband coverage from one end of the state to the other, the first state in the United States to have 100% broadband coverage. New Exposition Center at the State Fair, new National Comedy Center. We're doing a $1 billion Superfund cleanup to clean up the toxic sites like Grumman, which has been on Long Island, which I've talked about for 30 years, which we're finally going to clean up. The largest investment in clean energy of any state in the country. Clean energy, wind turbines, solar, this is going to be the future, and we want the future to happen here, and we're putting the investment to bring the businesses in. We are the largest development of artificial reef sites all around Long Island. This brings in tourism, it creates an ecosystem, it also brings fish habitat back for people who fish. I happen to fish, so we're doing more artificial reefs than the state has ever done before. We're doing a new wastewater treatment facility in Nassau, the Bay Park facility, which used to dump right into the southern channel, which is now going to go out to the ocean. We have the largest solar panel manufacturer in the hemisphere, Tesla Panasonic joint venture. We brought them into Buffalo with a 1 million square foot plant. We expanded Alstom, which is going to be building many of our subway cars for our new subway system. We brought General Motors into a new plant and expanded General Motors' presence in the state of New York. New Buffalo Children's Hospital, we brought Saab's defense industry to Syracuse, New York. We converted everything to cashless tolling, which was long overdue for the state of New York, but made a great difference. It actually works. I got a ticket in the mail the other day, so I know that it works. It's made sense on every level. Environmental, it's faster, it's cleaner, and it's done. And we're going to open the Governor Mario Cuomo Bridge, which was a design-build construction. It's the new Tappan Zee Bridge. We're going to open it this year. We originally estimated it would be over $5 billion. We bid it internationally. It came in at under $4 billion. We saved $1 billion on the design-build method. So that is the way of the future. And when I talked about building with pride, next to it in the background is the current Tappan Zee Bridge. And look, we could have built a low-cost, basic transportation bridge, but that's not who we are, and it's not what makes New York, New York. And that's what makes New York, New York. That's an architectural statement. It's a statement of pride and confidence. We did it on time, we did it on budget, and I was proud to name it for my father. So we know what we have to do. We just have to do more of it. We had a $100 billion plan that led the nation. I want to propose a $150 billion plan. I want to enact it this coming January. I want your help in passing it. It is an investment. We've seen the progress that we've made on the projects that we have going on. Those new airports are going to be a new front door. We're going to have the newest airports in the United States of America. We're going to have air trains connecting them. You're going to see growth. You're going to see development. You're going to see an energy that New York once had, and you're going to see that energy again. And now is the time to build on it. We will get this passed. We'll do it together. We're going to use the same methodology, design, build, and we're going to make New York even greater, because as in the past, the future is what we make it, and for the people in this room, the future is what we build. And everyone has one fundamental responsibility, as a citizen, as a parent, to leave this state, to leave this place better than we found it. And our forefathers did a heck of a job. And we inherited a beautiful legacy of transportation and infrastructure and beautiful architectural projects that, frankly, we have relied on for generations. It's now our turn to make this state even better, even stronger, even more progressive, even more modern. So when we turn the keys over to our children, we can say we left them a home better than the home we inherited. Together we will. Thank you and God bless.
Didn't I tell you he's be the greatest governor in the state and the greatest governor for this industry, contractors and unions together? Give him another hand. He's taken a long way out. I think it's Jay here. Oh. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue on with the program just a little longer before we break to present our first award tonight, I'd like to welcome our BTEA co-chairman, Charlie Murphy, the Senior Vice President of Turner Construction and the Contractors Association of Greater New York. Along with Charlie will be the BTEA Vice Chairman Jay Badami, who's the President and Chief Operating Officer of AECOM Tishman Construction. Charlie?
Good evening, everyone. I want to start off with, that was a great speech the governor made. It's, you think about the people who really made a difference in our state, the work that they've given all of us. There was a number of Turner jobs on the board up there, a number of Skanska jobs, Tishman. We've all worked on things. We've really benefited from this infrastructure project Governor Cuomo's put together. So let's give him another round of applause. You know, the governor said he's not a builder, but the next person coming up is a builder. Sabrina Canner is Executive Vice President of Design and Construction. Executive Vice President of Design and Construction for Brookfield Properties. And prior to that, Olympia, New York, since 1982. Ms. Canner first joined the construction division of Olympia, New York in 1982 and was appointed to run Olympia, New York's construction work in 1986. Her 35-year tenure with that company, Ms. Canner has played a key role in construction, design, development, or redevelopment of over 40 million square feet. Some of the signature projects she was involved in was at 300 Madison. And Sabrina, one I went past today that looks as good as the day it opened is the pavilion down at Brookfield Place. A spectacular design, a beautiful building. She's a member of WX and sits on the board of directors of the New York Building Congress, the Salvadori Center, the Opus Group, the Regional Plan Association, Urban Green Council, and sits on the board of trustees of the National Building Museum and the Beverly Wills Architectural Foundations. She's a wonderful partner with Turner, and we've done a number of things with her over the years. Sabrina, please come up and accept this award. Congratulations. Photo? Is there a photo? Let's do a photo.
Well, thank you. Congratulations to my co-honorees. I'm so happy to be here tonight, really, with you all, and so very honored. I don't have a $150 billion plan to announce, but tough act to follow. Our industry events these days have a very high-spirited, jubilant quality to them, don't you think? A real estate cycle is supposed to be approximately 7 years long, according to conventional wisdom. And I believe we're about 10 years into this 7-year cycle, which could be the source of our good mood. There's so much to be grateful for, it's true, but there's also a need for improvement in efficiency, in safety, cost control, and now is the moment. Now, when there is enough work for all, is the moment. We should be examining work rules for efficiencies to reduce costs. Now, we should make sure that every worker has safety training, access to personal protective equipment, and on-site safety support that ensures that they have every chance to return home safely to their families each night. Now, we should be looking at the underpinnings of construction insurance and correct a system that does not incentivize safety. Now is the moment. New York is known as a global leader in so many fields and for so many astonishing accomplishments in finance, in culture, in thought. We are bigger, bolder, best. Sadly, we are also the most expensive city to build in on the planet. And this is wrong. We need to fix this. New York should not be renowned because we cost more than anywhere else. We should be acclaimed for being innovative, progressive, flexible, making the best use of technology. We can and should be pro-labor and pro-business. These are absolutely not mutually exclusive. They work together. Well, I invite you all to join this effort, for it's the responsibility of each of us in this room. The moment is now, while work is abundant, to make changes to improve our construction industry so that New York continues to be the most exciting city in the world to grow a business, the place where the most talented people come and stay, the smartest place to be. This remarkable construction cycle is a gift. And a remarkable construction cycle like this is a terrible thing to waste, so let's act now. Thank you for this honor, and good night.
Thank you. Good job. Good speech. Okay, for our next presentation, I'd like to welcome to the podium the treasurer of the BTEA, Steve Giannotti. Steve is the president of Arcadia Electrical Company, and he's a past president of the National Electrical Contractors Association New York chapter, and now serves as governor of NECA, New York.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Lou. It is a great pleasure to serve as treasurer of the BTEA. It's just a wonderful organization. I'm amazed by the commitment of BTEA contractors to our industry. But tonight I'm here for something different. Our past BTEA co-chair, Richard Kennedy, is president and CEO of Skanska USA and a member of Skanska's 6-person group leadership team responsible for global operations. He is also responsible for the company's U.S. construction operations, U.S. corporate staff functions, and infrastructure development operations. Richard also oversees the coordination of all U.S. services, which generated $6.8 billion in revenue in 2017 from construction, commercial development, and infrastructure development operations. As president of Skanska Building USA, Richard was the driving force behind the $5 billion redevelopment of LaGuardia Airport, and another exciting transportation project, the development of Penn Station. Please welcome our 2018 BTEA Leadership Award recipient, Richard Kennedy. Rich.
So, good evening, everyone. I will keep my remarks brief. Given the governor's comments about LaGuardia in 2021, I feel compelled to pick up a hammer and a saw and get back out there and get on it. So thank you, Steve. It was an honor for Skanska and me personally to have served as the BTEA co-chairman for the last 2 years. I want to especially thank my co-chairman, Joe Leo, who did an extraordinary job in that role, especially on those occasions where, because of my new and expanded roles at Skanska, he assumed a greater bulk of the responsibility. I'd also like to thank all the members of the Executive Committee, Board of Governors, and Association members for their support in making my tenure successful. As our industry continues to face challenges, the BTEA accomplished a lot in the last 2 years as a result of its leadership and Association's membership, active participation, commitment, and support of the organization. From the viewpoint of Skanska and me personally, the BTEA as an organization is of vital importance to the construction industry here in New York. The BTEA has proven itself as the most effective voice for construction managers, general and subcontractors, in making sure our voice is not only heard, but listened to as public and private owners take actions to shape our industry, too often without our involvement. The BTEA's relationship with the building trade unions is also of paramount importance to its members. We're still the best qualified and safest contractors and workers in the city. And on that point, I'd just like to second what Sabrina had to say about safety. That is so critical to our industry. The BTEA represents safe work practices, safe production. We want to keep our people safe on our projects every day, send them home safely. So I'm so happy to hear you say that, Sabrina, and I'm so happy that as an organization, we are just completely focused on that. So thank you for this recognition, and I wish the BTEA's new co-chairman the best of luck during their tenure. Skanska and I will continue to play an active role with the BTEA for many years to come. Thank you again.
Okay. Charlie Murphy, come back for our next presentation.
I have one more. I'm extremely proud to be the current co-chairman of the BTEA. And I'd like to thank past co-chairman Joe Leo for his leadership and leaving the BTEA in such great position as when Bob and I took over. Joe was president of Atlantic Contracting and Specialties, LLC. Atlantic installs mechanical insulation, abatement coatings, and fire stopping systems. He's overseen construction of many of today's high-profile projects in New York City, including the World Trade Center Transportation Hub, Columbia University, Fordham Law School, the Croton Water Pollution Control Plant. Joe is president of the Insulators Contractors Association and serves on IRIX Corporation's senior management team. It's an honor to present a 2018 BTEA Leadership Award to Joe Leo.
Just in case. No, I'll do it. We're going to take a picture first. They even had a step for me. This is a podium. Thank you very much, Charlie. I would like to thank my fellow co-chair, Rich Kennedy of Skanska, the members of the BTEA Executive Committee, and the Board of Governors for their support during my two-year tenure. I would also like to thank my company and my association, the Insulation Contractors Association, for their support and willingness to give me the time to make the commitment necessary in leading the BTEA. Rich is right. The BTEA is an organization that is critically important to the industry. It is the only association in the nation where every trade subcontractor sits at the table with the construction managers, the general contractors, with an equal voice, equal vote, as we seek to find ways to address the important issues facing contractors in the city and the state. The role of the BTEA plays today as a public spokesman for the industry is fundamentally necessary in today's world, where it seems too many of the rules and regulations contractors have to comply with too often start by some type of media story or complaining. If left unresponded to, the results of that media hype would severely hurt the competitiveness of all BTEA contractors even more. I would like to thank the BTEA and its membership for their support, participation, and commitment to the BTEA during my tenure. And like Richard, I intend to remain an active and committed member of the BTEA because it is the best interest of my company, my association, and my industry. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break in the program now so you can eat dinner, and then we'll, in about 20 minutes, we'll come back and give the remaining awards. So enjoy your dinner. It's a pleasure for me to honor someone who really needs no introduction to anybody here. Gary LaBarber is the president of the Building and Construction Trades Council of Greater New York and a person that the BTEA continues to work closely with. Let's give a nice round of applause to the next presenter, Gary LaBarber.
Thank you very much, Lou. Good evening, everyone. Pleasure to be here. First, let me congratulate Lou Coletti and all of you from BTEA Executive Committee for a really successful and wonderful event this evening. Congratulations, Lou. Great job, really. So tonight I have distinct honor and privilege to introduce our next honoree, Tom Gesualdi. Let's give Tommy a round of applause right up front. So let me just say a few words. First of all, I think most of you know that Tommy and I go way back in Local 282, and I was thinking about it today. Even before we were both officers of the union, I often recall times being at the Union Hall, 1975 Linden Boulevard. Meeting with business agents, and Tommy was there and I was there, and this really goes back, I think, to the mid-'80s. So it's a long, long relationship. And Tom has a really, I think, distinguished history in Local 282 because his grandfather was actually a charter member of Local 282, and his father was also a member who rose through the ranks and became a business agent, business representative in Local 282. And his father's name was Jim, and everyone would refer to Tom's father as Gentleman Jim. So the reason I say that is for anyone that knows Tom Gesualdi, I think you all know that he is the epitome of a gentleman. While very staunch in his positions and beliefs, anyone, whether it's from other unions or employers that have to deal with Tom or negotiate with Tom, know that Tom is a man of integrity, honesty, and conviction. And throughout all of his career, he has been able to maintain what I would call a level of sophistication and composure. And we often laughed when Tommy and I were together for 14 years in the two leadership roles in 282. It was really a good combination because some of you may know this about me. I'm not always even-tempered and the example or the epitome of composure. So it was always good that Tom was in the room as well. Let me say this. I want to thank the BTEA for recognizing the labor leaders tonight, Lou. And I think the recognition is an acknowledgement of some outstanding labor leaders who, on behalf of this industry, really understand the challenges that we face in this industry. And the challenges are real, and they are not just the union challenges, they are the industry challenges, because we recognize that our members work for you, for union contractors, and that we are fully in this together. And it's an important thing to realize. And as a union leader, Tom Gesualdi, I think, really is the epitome of that understanding. He has done so many things to make Local 282 more competitive in this industry that has resulted in really a significant growth of market share for Local 282 in the concrete delivery supply side and in other areas as well. And he continues to face the reality and challenges with an intelligent and thoughtful and pragmatic approach. And to me, that is really the measure of true leadership. So not only does he have the acumen to understand the industry and be pragmatic and creative, to create an environment that the members of Local 282 and their employers are more competitive. But while doing so, he has the ability to maintain his reputation as a gentleman and his reputation of an individual of high integrity. So it is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce my dear friend, someone literally I grew up in Local 282 with, President of Local 282, Thomas Gesualdi. Oh yeah, let's take a picture. Yeah, you gotta take that too.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Gary, for them remarks. And, you know, as you said, almost 25 years ago, two young kids were thrust into running Local 282. We spent many late nights saying, what did we get ourselves into? But we succeeded, and through Gary's 14 years in Local 282, sent the foundation to make what Local 282 is so successful today. So thank you, Gary, for that. I want to thank Lou Coletti and the BTEA board for this award, and also congratulate my co-honorees. You know, Local 282 has worked with the BTEA for well over 25 years. And we always said to our contractor base through the years, on a 3-year contract cycle, we're partners in the industry for 35 months. 1 month we're across the table, and then we're right back as partners for 35 months. And for a while, that seemed to get away from all of us, but I'm very happy to see us all coming together again for the industry. Is a very good thing, so I want to thank the BTEA for that. As we all know, certain areas of our industry are under attack. BCA, TCA unions have made major adjustments in their CBAs to help recapture this work. When BTEA contractors use the changes and adjustments their unions make and everyone works together, it will make a big difference in recapturing this segment of work. Local 282 and my executive board currently are finalizing a major adjustment in residential foundation excavation work to recapture the segment of that, and that should be hopefully coming out very soon. You know, as interest rates on borrowing continue to edge up, speed and quality of the contractors in this room will once again come into play. The last 5+ years, borrowing money was cheap, and scheduling and timing was not that big of a priority. Many projects, on average, our opposition took over a year longer to complete when it was not done by the contractors and unions in this room. Because of rising interest rates, I feel that time will be money again, and a phrase that was always used in the past will once again come into play, and that is the 2-day cycle on concrete. You haven't heard that phrase for many years, not the 2-week cycle that our opposition has right now. So let's never forget that the BTEA contractors and subcontractors, along with the BCTC unions, have one other thing in common. We both give our employees and our members a career, not one job. We provide the tax base for this city. There is no underground economy in this room. So in closing, it is important that we continue to work together as one to recapture this industry. And I want to thank you all again and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
You know, I've been very lucky in my career to have a good relationship with many people on the building trades. Now, sometimes it gets a little rocky, but we get back. Our next presenter has been a friend to the BTEA and to myself for many, many years. James Cahill is president of the New York State Building and Construction Trades Council and a member of the New York State AFL-CIO Executive Council. Please welcome Jim Cahill as our next presenter.
First of all, I want to thank Lou for inviting me down here, and it's a pleasure to give my good friend John Murphy an award. But when I see venues like this with labor and management working together, you know the thing that bothers me the most, and I've said this many times before, is that we don't have the outside groups that attack us all the time never realize how close we are, and we work very well together. And I applaud you, and I applaud Lou for the BTEA for everything you do. And it's a pleasure to be here. If you read the bio about my friend John Murphy, it says a lot of things what he's achieved in his 1984, I believe, when he came on board, fourth generation plumber. And you know, it's very, if you know something about steam fitters and plumbers, it's a little hard for me to say nice things about a plumber being a steam fitter. But it's very easy for me to talk about John Murphy. In his bio, it says everything that he does, helmets to hard hats and everything else. But one thing we skip a little bit, and all of us in the room, both labor and management, we have a tendency not to mention our family life. And I will say this about John. He's married to 31 years to his beautiful wife, Janine. He has a fifth generation son who's an apprentice. I think, is it Ryan, John? Is it Ryan? Christopher. Christopher is the apprentice. And Ryan, in the time of his thing, John worked very hard to send him to BC, and now he is an accomplished lawyer working labor law. So he may face a few of you guys down the road a little bit working out of BC. So John, I commend you on your family life. But let me tell you a little about my association with John. For about 25 years, we've dealt. And we've dealt together as a business agent, as an international rep for the state of New York, and dealing with him and his local. How well prepared John does his job. When you go against John over a jurisdictional issue, when you go against John to fight for work, you will find nobody better that articulates an argument, that gets to the point, that researches it, and makes his point. And John, I commend you. And it's an honor for me to give you this award, and on BTEA.
Thank you.
Good evening. And I want to thank Jim Cahill. Usually he reminds the crowd that the reason I got into politics, I wasn't too good with the tools, so I had to run for office. I really was super impressed with Governor Cuomo, and I'd like to recognize Lou Coletti, our building trades leaders, Jim Cahill and Gary LaBarbera, and all of the honorees. It's truly an honor to share this event with you this evening, and I thank you for your leadership. But I stand before you tonight not only as a United Association International officer, but as a fourth-generation union plumber in the city of New York. My father thought enough of this honorable trade to encourage his 4 sons to follow in his footsteps, and I'm proud to be joined tonight by my son Christian, a third-year apprentice in the local and a fifth-generation UA member. I consider this a great honor for the unionized plumbing and pipe fitting industry to be recognized for our willingness to adapt to changes in this industry. And I applaud the leadership of both Local 1 and Local 638 and our union contractors for making the necessary changes to keep our trade competitive. History has proven that the unionized construction industry is a true path to the middle class, and so many of you in this room have kept that dream alive. We should never underestimate the impact our industry has had on the lives of hundreds of thousands of families who, when given the opportunity and through hard work and training, have been able to build a life of respect and dignity where families can still strive to do better than past generations. The virtues that were once taken for granted by most Americans, a decent wage, medical coverage for our families, and a pension, exemplify what this great industry has always stood for.
As union leaders, we negotiate agreements for our members so they can put food on their tables. And when their bodies can no longer withstand the rigors of the construction industry, they can retire with the dignity that they deserve. And that's the America that I know. We must never become a society that once we climb to a level of respectability, we lift up the ladder so nobody else can achieve their dreams. And it reminds me of Tim Russert, who once said the best commencement speech he ever heard was all of 16 words. No exercise is better for the human heart than reaching down to lift up another person. And Lou and Gary, I commend you both for your tireless efforts in bringing the parties to the table and moving the conversation forward. Integrity, fruitful dialogue, and bargaining in good faith is absolutely essential for all of us to achieve our goals, for our developers, for our contractors, and for our members. I'm proud to be a member of the building trades, and I'm confident by working together with industry leaders in this room, we will continue to build incredible projects in the greatest city in the world while helping future generations achieve their American dream. I thank you kindly for this honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Take your award. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. This way? Sure.
Okay. I think you can see why our two honorees from labor this evening, why we decided to honor them. They're smart, they're young, they're progressive, they understand the challenges that we're facing, and they work hard with their contractor associations to rebuild what we may have lost during the recession that I believe is really back on the upswing for us. Our next presenter is our BTEA co-chairman, Bob Perricone. Bob is the Executive Vice President of Component Assembly Systems and a member of the Association of Wall, Ceiling, and Carpentry Industries in New York. I got to tell you something a little bit about Bob. Bob served in our executive committee for a year, sort of quiet, watched how we operated. Everybody was impressed with him, and when he was elected as co-chairman, he said to me, you know, I can be like a bull in a china closet. When you give me something to do, I really do it. And I said, thank God, that's exactly the kind of people that we need in this industry. So it's my pleasure to introduce the co-chairman, Bob Perricone. Go get him, buddy.
Appreciate it. Where's McCaffrey out here? Lou, thank you. First and foremost, from my heart, I think the contributions that you afford this industry are under-recognized, and I think that this is a very special event, and I totally commend you. The next group of honorees are the winners of the 2018 Labor Management Initiatives Award, the Carpenter Contractor Alliance of Metropolitan New York. CCA Metro is the leading voice on issues affecting the joint interests of carpenters in all crafts, represented by the 9 local unions of the New York City District Council of Carpenters and more than 1,000 contractors that employ these carpenters under the collective bargaining agreements. I'd like the board of the CCA Metro to join me on stage. Paul Fernandez, Executive Director of CCA Metro. Michael Kavanaugh, Vice President, New York City District Council of Carpenters. John Delalas, Executive Director, Association of Walls, Ceilings, and Carpentry. Joe Geiger, Executive Secretary, Treasurer, New York City District Council of Carpenters. Graham McHugh, President, New York City District Council of Carpenters. Dave Mayberg, President, Greater New York Floor Covers Association. And John O'Hare, Managing Director, Building Contractors Association. This award is being presented for CCA Metro's sponsorship of a research report comparing contractor membership of the BTEA with the members of a non-union association, Associated Builders and Contractors. The results of this study reaffirm the fact that the BTEA continues to represent the largest number of contractors in New York City, that BTEA contractors are the safest, most experienced, use the best practices, and with his partners in labor and workforce, remain the leaders in public policy and advocacy for the construction industry. It's with great pleasure I introduce Paul Fernandez to accept the award on behalf of the CCA Metro Board. Paul?
Thank you. Thank you, Bob, for that kind introduction. When Lou asked if we would be honored here tonight, I said, Lou, we'll do it, but you just have to make sure everybody gets to speak. So sit tight, we'll be back in about 20 minutes. Actually, you said you have 3 minutes, so we'll get to it. Thank you, Lou, and everyone at the BTEA for this honor, and congratulations to all of tonight's other honorees and to Governor Cuomo for his outstanding leadership. Among union carpenters and contractors, and all the other unions and contractors in this room here tonight, Labor Management Cooperation is responsible for things that everyone here can be proud of. At CCA Metro, we like to say that our resume is the skyline of the greatest city in the world, but it's actually much more than that. As just two examples, union carpenters and contractors provide health care to 40,000 men, women, and children. Multiply that several times over to reflect what is done in all the other trades here tonight. And this industry, the unionized sector of this industry, provides health care for hundreds of thousands of people in the New York City metropolitan area. Union carpenters and contractors have 1,500 young men and women in apprenticeship training and thousands more members as journey persons who continue to receive training every year for a total of 400,000 hours of training each year. Again, multiply that several times over, and you have the people in this room responsible for millions of hours of training in this industry. And that record indicates that we work best and we accomplish the most when we engage in labor management cooperation, whether it is in bargaining, training and safety, public policy, or addressing industry issues. What we do in union construction has many challenges, but what we do together is just better than what the other side does. It's just better. It just is. It's shown in every building that we build and every life that we shape with access to meaningful careers and opportunity. Addressing these challenges can be difficult, but it calls for more, not less, labor management cooperation that for a long time has built a record that everyone in this room can be proud of and that I hope everyone here will continue to fight to continue. Thank you, and thank you again to Lou and the BTEA for this honor.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our final award for the evening goes to someone who represents a class of workers in this industry that I think sometimes go unrecognized, and I don't want to say unappreciated, but maybe I'll say unappreciated. And those are the paid executive directors of the 27 member associations of the Building Trades Employers Association. We meet every month. We talk about issues that affect every trade. Everybody knows what's going on. And they're a real asset to this industry that I think too often doesn't get public recognition. And so I'm very happy to give this award on one hand, but I'm very sad on the other hand, is that the Career Service Award is going to go to William Shoesman, who serves as the Executive Director and General Counsel of the Allied Building Metal Industries, a trade association of unionized contractors engaged in the fabrication and erection of structural steel, architectural, ornamental, and miscellaneous metal products. Bill has been a strong advocate for me personally and his association, and he's always been a supporter of the BTEA, and he has chosen at a very young age to retire and enjoy his life. When he served, and I guess it's till June 30th, as he comes down to the end of his career as Executive Director and General Counsel of the Steel and Ornamental Metal Industries of New York, Mr. Shoesman served as the Chief Operating Officer of these promotional organizations, which consist of every employer of unionized ironworkers in the 5 boroughs of New York City, as well as Nassau, Suffolk, and Westchester County. But in addition to these duties, Bill figured centrally in all the matters of interest that had impact to the ironworking industry as well as the unionized construction industry at large. He has been a great leader and a great friend, and he is retiring after 35 years of outstanding service. Please give the biggest hand of the night for Bill Shoesman, and come on up, Bill. Billy, I'm going to miss you, brother. Yeah.
Lou, thank you very much for those kind words, most of them not really deserved. I'd like to also take this opportunity to thank all of the officers and membership of the BTEA for honoring me with this Career Service Award. I'd also like to thank and congratulate all of the other co-honorees tonight on their selection as this year's BTEA Awards recipients. As Lou mentioned, I came into this industry 35 years ago, in 1983. Before I started at Allied, I didn't know anything about the construction industry. After law school, I spent 8 years with the government, and that is certainly not the real world. I was then hired by Allied and spent an apprenticeship at the foot of my predecessor, who had been in the industry for about 25 years. Since that time, I've been privileged over these past 35 years to serve as Allied's Executive Director, representing its members and the unionized steel construction industry in the city of New York and its metropolitan area. During my early years when I first started, it was as clear as could be that I had a lot to learn, not only about the Allied members, but also about the ironworking industry, the construction industry generally, and all of the intertwined and symbiotic relationships. And I realized very quickly that none of the pieces of the puzzles, none of the individual contractors, the individual labor unions, the individual trade associations could stand alone. If I had to identify one principle that has guided me throughout my career, it was this fact. None of us can succeed on our own, not in our personal lives and certainly not in our business lives. Of course, as would be expected, there are times when the interests of one group don't align with the interests of others. However, more often than not, I realized that what was good for my individual members was good for my association. What was good for my association was good for the contracting community. And as strange as it had seemed to me when I first started working at Allied, I learned that most of the time, what was good for the contracting community was also good for the unions, and what was good for the unions was good for the contracting community. I came to realize that when Allied had a problem, the first thing to do was to look for a partner. Not so we could avoid dealing with the issue, but looking to build a coalition, because as I said earlier, there's strength in numbers. Allied's chances of success was greatly enhanced if we were able to form an alliance with one of the many other construction industry entities, sometimes labor, sometimes management, sometimes both. And I never forgot this lesson, and I've used it countless times over the years. Alliances were formed when dealing with government officials, when dealing with governmental entities, labor officials, and others. We didn't always achieve what we sought out to accomplish, but I know that we always came out better having joined an alliance. As I said earlier, the alliances do not always involve just contractors. Sure, my association brings together contractors involved in the iron and steel industry. Ensure the BTEA brings together contractors from across the entire spectrum of the industry. But alliances among contractors oftentimes isn't enough. And obviously, looking, at the roster of tonight's honorees, I'm not alone in this thinking. The BTEA, an association of contractors, is presenting awards to labor leaders. It is also recognizing the accomplishments of a joint labor management group that's working for the betterment of our industry. There's clearly a recognition that needless conflicts, personal attacks, and name-calling between labor and management are not the solution to the issues we face. I know we can all agree that things are not getting any easier for us. We're besieged by problems from the city, the state, the federal government, as well as our growing non-union competition. These problems, unfortunately, are not going to go away. Companies or segments of our industry that needlessly fight among themselves or try to go it alone are doomed to failure. Rather than each of us going our separate ways, we need to look to create stronger alliances among ourselves. We need to recommit to the trade associations in our industry, such as Allied, such as the BTEA, to ensure to as great as an extent as possible the growth of our industries. It is these associations that have their fingers on the pulse of the industry. Contractors have to deal with their business. They have to make money. The associations are here to keep their finger on the pulse of the industry, and they do an excellent job of it. And it's these associations that are the best vehicles for addressing the industry's problems. We all know Benjamin Franklin's famous quote, "If we don't hang together, we will surely hang separately." He said it, it was true when he said it, it's equally true today. So in closing, I would like once again to thank the membership and the officers of the BTEA in presenting me with this Career Service Award, and wish the BTEA, its membership, and the industry at large nothing but success in the future. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to give me one last round of applause for all of the honorees this evening. I mean, you can see by the individuals that we honored this evening, from real estate, construction, just an outstanding governmental leader, the governor who believes in us, and contractors, that this industry is filled with great, great people that do a lot for the city of New York, and we don't get enough recognition. So to all of the honorees, I want to say thank you. In terms of the success of tonight's leadership dinner, it's a result of a lot of hard work by a lot of people. I want to thank all of the BTEA member contractor associations, tonight's dinner co-chairman, the journal chairman, our executive chairman sponsors, our vice chairman sponsors and chairman sponsors, and our award sponsors. But I'd also like to thank my staff, Lena Vega, Don Ranchi, Dawn Bridgeford, and the Berman Group for putting together an outstanding event. The BTEA is proud to continue being the strongest unified voice of union contractors, or any contractor, in New York City. You heard it from several of the speakers. When we stand together as contractors, when we stand with the contractors, with labor, we are stronger than any one of us can stand alone. So thank you. I hope you had a great time. Drive safely and enjoy the rest of the evening.